What's up, Make Movers? Hope you're doing well. Today, I want to challenge you on something I think is very, very important, especially from the lens of business and leadership. Here it is: planning and executing. Yes, planning and executing. You, like I, know many people who say all the right things. They're going to do so many great things in life. They have so many things in mind. And they tell you about these ideas, you get excited just listening to what they're sharing. You can envision this thing coming to pass. But herein lies the problem. The person who shared this with you, their history also proves that they don't have the ability to execute. They have great ideas. They know how to influence people and rally the troops and get everybody excited, but there is never any legs behind the idea. Don't let that be said about you where you have great ideas but nothing else comes out of it. Planning, then executing. When you're talking about planning, you need to be intentional about what you're doing. Be disciplined, write things down. Let me give it to you this way: begin with the end in mind. Yes, begin with the end in mind. How do you want this to conclude? How do you envision this looking when everything is done? At the point of fruition, what is the conclusion? When you sit back and look at it, how do you say this work is done? And once you have concluded that thought, once you are at peace with that thought, then go back to the beginning and begin to write out the plan. Begin to be intentional about what needs to be a part of it. Because if you don't actually write out the plan, people may volunteer to help you and you may misposition them or misplace them in areas where their giftings and their talents really can be helpful to you. Write it out. Write it out. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I'll say it again. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You need to write out your plan. But when you write out your plan, be careful not to tell everybody the plan that you wrote out. Everybody can't handle it. You're still trying to come to grips with it yourself. To be a business plan, write this thing out, but write it out in a manner that when I receive it or someone else receives it and it's not our plan, it makes sense to us. I don't want to read anybody's plan where I'm having to try to figure out what exactly are you trying to accomplish here. So if it's a business plan, if it's a vision for an organization, if you are trying to create a new initiative in your workplace, et cetera, you got to write that plan out. You got to write it out to the point where if you were to stop someone who's serious about their business and they were to ask you, may I receive a copy of your plan? You actually have something to give them, because no one's going to take you serious off of a plan that's in your head and that's not in a tangible document. If you think about it, I was always trained that you should be able to write out your plan, present your plan, but then also surmise your plan into an elevator speech. Meaning if you were given an elevator ride with a very prominent executive, let's say Warren Buffett, for example, and you're trying to entice Warren Buffett to become an investor. And he said, listen, all I have is this elevator ride. So tell me about this. Could you actually take your plan from your head and bring it out of your mouth in a short manner by which you draw in the attention? If you can't, that's the work you need to be doing. Planning this thing out, thinking yourself clearly, spending time in doing thorough research and thorough review, making sure that any numbers you put in that plan are statistically accurate and not just something you pulled out of the sky. Making sure that you are not copying and pasting what somebody else has already done, but it is something original. That is something that people would want to be a part of, both in volunteerism and all the way over into investments. Planning. And then once you've gotten to that point, then you deal with execution. Do you know how many great ideas are lying at a cemetery right now? How many business ventures are in the cemetery right now because the person had a great idea, they never executed it, and so it died when they died. And I'm saying to you, there are people around you, but hopefully it's not you. People who have great ideas talk about great things, and herein lies the problem. There is no execution. People who are serious about their business won't keep wasting their time on you when you're not serious about yours. Do you realize that time is a precious commodity, and wasted time you don't get back? So therefore, you have to be intentional about the time that you give to people and the time you invest in people. Execution. When you reach out to somebody and say, may I spend some time with you over lunch or over coffee? I want to talk to you about an idea I have. When they agree to do that, when they come to that meeting, they're expecting you to have your stuff in order, not you pulling out scraps of paper and post-it notes, and you're trying to make sense of it. Know that you actually came in with a presentable plan. Here is why. Because the way you present it to me speaks to your sincerity and your seriousness about that which you're talking about. If I can't look at what you have and make sense of it, if you can't present it to me and make me make sense of it, I don't take you seriously. So planning is great. Planning requires late nights and early mornings. It requires you to lock yourself in and doing a lot of research, a lot of planning, a lot of reading, a lot of thorough vetting. But all of that is wasted if you don't execute. That book you've been talking about you're going to write, what are we waiting on? That business you're talking about you're going to start, what are we waiting on? That partnership you're going to enter into, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? Investors? Okay, let's say you're waiting on investors, but what are you going to present to them to entice them and encourage them to invest in this? See, the work is on you. It's not on the investor. Before you can go to them and ask them to invest in your product, are you really sold on your product? What I say to mentees, I'll say to you, you can't sell what you haven't first bought. Again, you can't sell what you haven't first bought. What that simply means is if you're not convinced that this plan and this idea works, you can't tell me it's going to work. You can't convince me it's going to work, and you can't sell me on it working. So I'm saying to you today, those of you talking about you're making moves, are you planning? And then are you executing? Because planning is part of it. Executing is the rest of it. And it's time out for us planning and not executing. It's time out for us planning and then allowing fear and timidity to paralyze us in a place where there is no execution. Plan, then execute. If you're not going to execute, stop wasting people's time when you're not serious about what you are planning. Listen, we talk about making moves, not announcements. When you make your moves and you're serious about your moves and you plan out your moves and you execute your moves, guess what happened? Word gets out. The word makes the announcement. But stop making announcements on plans that aren't serious and a planner who isn't serious. Hope you're doing well. Take heed to what I'm saying. Just wisdom nuggets. Hope it helps you out. I encourage you to visit our website at www.strategicinflectionpoint.com. There you can learn more about our administration offerings unto you. Love to be helpful and come alongside you on this journey. Also, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, subscribe. I try to upload a video once a week, just some nuggets to help you along the way. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell other people about it. This is all to be helpful in that regard. Again, hope you're doing well. And remember, as we sign off, make moves, not announcements.